Hi, I'm Isaac, and welcome back to my podcast. Today I'm going to have Keana.
Hi, my name is Keana Delos Santos. I'm from Northern California, but of course I currently reside here in Spokane. So I had graduated from Utah Valley University, where I got my degree in marketing and business management. Just so far, I've had a real love and passion for sports, and I think that has definitely gotten me to where I am today. I've had a lot of experiences within lots of athletics, especially professional organizations like the NFL, the Golden State Warriors. But also college athletics like St. Mary's, and now being a grad student here at Gonzaga University. So I have a lot of experience and knowledge, I think, in sports, and I'm just happy to share wherever I can.
Keana, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you explain a little bit about what you do?
So currently I'm here in Spokane. So I just moved here from the Bay Area, like you mentioned. I am now a grad assistant with the women's basketball team. So I am basically a student here at Gonzaga, getting my master's along with helping the basketball team with a variety of things.
How do you enjoy that so far?
I love it so far. Our season is kind of in the midst of preseason, so we're like 5 games in, so it's pretty good so far.
And you have that big game against Stanford coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, very big game. So we were just coming off a win right now off of Eastern Washington yesterday, and then Stanford, and then a couple more games, and then head into Christmas break and just go into season. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What goes into like a prep for the game? Like, of course, you have to watch film, you have to practice. Like, tell me like the week leading up. Like, what do you guys do?
Yeah. So let's say. It's kind of tough because we play games, at least during preseason, it's kind of different times within the week, so it's not kind of like the same like it would be in preseason. So, for example, like this week on Monday, we had a day off, but basically it's not really a day off for us coaches, it's a day off for the players. So, with those days off, there's lots of meetings, lots of scout and film that we watch on other teams. So, for example, with Eastern Washington, it wasn't my scout specifically, but basically it's kind of all hands on deck to where everyone's watching film, kind of getting a grasp of what we need to know for the game, because we'll have to have a hand in a win. So basically, prepping that, we prep for practice. We watch a bunch of film with the player individually. We shoot individually. So it's kind of like the same thing every single day. Even if they're not practicing, they still want to get shots up. So that kind of goes mostly into it, and then kind of when the game happens, it's just all second nature to them because we've given them everything that they need to be fully prepared for it.
Yeah, and being that ex-collegiate basketball player, you were on the court when you were playing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're on the sidelines. Like, how does that change your perspective on the game, and like, how has that been a transition for you?
Yeah, so actually, last year was my first season actually back in collegiate sports. So I played at Utah Valley for 4 years, and I had just recently graduated. So after deciding not to play and kind of just transitioning into coaching and just being on the admin part of the collegiate basketball staff, I definitely say I'd have respect for all the coaches that are in collegiate athletics because it takes a lot of time and effort. So I don't think that's something that I've recognized as a player, but now it takes a lot of time and I'm always tired, so I'm like, there's a lot that goes into it. So I'd say now, just being on the opposite side, I have a lot of experience and wisdom that I can share with these young athletes. So just being able to uplift them, empower them, and kind of give them my experience to where they can fully take advantage of this lifetime experience playing collegiate athletics, especially at the high level that they are. So I think just being able to use my experience with them and also my experience as a player and being on a great staff now, just be able to mesh the two together and just be a championship team.
And obviously, you played collegiately. Now you work with the Gonzaga women's basketball team. What did you do in between that? Because you talked to me about doing other things. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to share about what you did?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I've kind of been all over really with my career in sports. So I mean, basketball was basically my whole life, and I aspired to play professionally, especially in the Philippines. But I think during COVID, that kind of took a toll on things, especially like with traveling. So I mean, everyone experienced COVID. But since that wasn't the option, plan B. So I think since I got my degree in marketing and business management, that's something that I knew that I liked as well and was super passionate about. So my niche specifically was social media at the time. So just being able to kind of intern with the athletics at Utah Valley and then using that experience to work within the NFL. So that was my big first job. It was kind of affiliation with the NFL. So I was working with NFL athletes specifically. So the main client I'm super proud of is Stephon Gilmore and Shaquille Barrett. So those are athletes I worked very closely with. I have a great relationship with them still. So just being able to help them with their social media as well as their nonprofits, that was the main thing I was part of. So using my social media experience and then also learning like PR stuff and more behind the scenes work with marketing, I think was great. And then, football is not the same as basketball in my opinion. So just being able to try and find avenues to make way back into basketball, whether what that was with little kids or now in athletics. So that's when I started working part-time with the Golden State Warriors affiliation. So that's the Warriors Basketball Academy. So that's where I started training the younger generation. So kids probably starting from 3rd grade all the way to high school and hopefully training them into, being those athletes that want to play in college at whatever level that was. So that's what I did for a lengthy time. And then I think just getting a promotion, just doing social media with the actual Golden State Warriors kind of helped me as well. So kind of just being able to work on court, but also behind the scenes with social media is something that I was really, really passionate about with both things. So yeah, working with the Warriors, that was a big thing for me. They won the championship in 2021. I actually got a championship ring.
Wow.
So I didn't work specifically with the Golden State Warriors team, but I think being within their affiliation and still putting in the time and work with the younger generation and especially within the community in the Bay Area, I was rewarded along with my other employees or colleagues that I worked with. So that's a lot still, but now I'm transitioning back into athletics at the college level. So that's when a director of operations job opened up at St. Mary's. So still in the Bay Area. I love my hometown, so I was really trying to stay back within that area. So I was a director of operations last year at St. Mary's. And I think that's where I kind of got to really notice the experience that I've had and just being able to coach like literally my friends is kind of weird, but that's something that I got to do. So I was the director of operations and then again promoted as assistant coach midway through the season. So that's where I started learning how to do film and this on-court stuff opposed to like the admin stuff like a director of operations would. So things happen. I was also passionate about school, always going back and getting my master's, and Gonzaga has really allowed that opportunity for me. So I moved here, Spokane, packed all my stuff, came here, decided to go back to school and just be part of the Gonzaga team now, and now I'm a grad assistant.
Yeah, that's a lot of things in between then.
It is.
Yeah, especially Stephon Gilmore, that's really dope. Now he's like on the Cowboys leading that defense. That defense has been doing amazing.
So yeah, I was with him when he was, what's the team he was before with the Panthers? I don't even know what team that was. But like there was a whole bunch of teams that he was on, and then just seeing now on the Cowboys, he's really, really thriving there in Dallas.
And then you speak about your community, the Bay Area. Now let's go back to baby Keana. You talked about how you grew up in the Bay Area. Your roots are in the Bay Area, and you really want to represent that community. Like baby Keana, how did she fall in love with basketball?
I think just seeing like how much my dad had a passion for it as an adult, like, adult leagues are a huge thing. And I think that was something that he was super passionate about. So I think that's when I started playing basketball. And literally I started at like 5 years old and I hadn't stopped playing ever since like college. So I was literally playing my whole life. I didn't know anything other than basketball. And I think just identifying myself as a basketball player for the longest time, it was hard for me to really transition out. But I think just now knowing that there's a career in sports and you don't have to play basketball in order to like basketball or like work within it. So I think just seeing how there's different ways to stay within sports and having your passion still fulfilled is something that I enjoy.
Yeah, especially in the Philippines, basketball is massive. Like, all the Filipino parents, they love the Lakers, they love the Warriors, they love Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I mean, just growing up, I grew up in the Bay Area as well, and I had a ton of Filipino friends, and whenever I'd go over and eat lechon, and we would watch these Warrior games, and they're always like going crazy, or we'd be watching like a boxing match and watching Manny Pacquiao. They have like a real sense of community and a true like fandom for and like just a love for whoever they're following that you could just like it makes you want to root for them more, and it's just really fun. Like,
Yeah.
how do you think your Filipino heritage really influenced you in your childhood and how you fell in love with sports and just lived your life?
Yeah, so I personally have never been to the Philippines. So I think just having the aspiration to wanting to play in the Philippines, that's something I really wanted to really try and do post college. But I think God just had other plans for me. But now just being able to be super passionate about who I am and super confident in the woman, an Asian American woman that I am, I think that's where I am today and why I'm still continuing to kind of try and climb that pedestal, especially as a female. But I think just being Filipino and just not seeing a lot of representation that I have and would want to see in, at least in college athletics and just like professionally within any organization. That's just something that we're slightly lacking, and that's okay. But I think that's where we can make strides to where I didn't see people look like me. So I think me being a role model for those types of people and them seeing, oh, Keana can do it, she's Filipino. I can do that too. So I think just really taking pride in my culture and who I am and just continuing to make strides to give back and just be a mentor for people that want to do the same things as me, or even just have questions. I think that's something that I'm always open to just because I didn't have someone to look up to or someone to ask questions about any of these things. So I think I'm living it, and just being able to give back to that younger generation is something that I've really taken pride in, whether that's basketball or in life.
So you're saying like you weren't able to see anyone that looked like you and relate to. Did you ever feel like a sense of connection with someone who didn't look like you and that was still a role model for you when you're growing up, or did you really have to find that within yourself and trying to figure out and navigate? This is what I have to do. I want to become that role model, even though I don't technically like have one.
Yeah, I would say, at least professionally, I don't think I really had someone to look up to. Basketball, of course, there's so many people that you can look up to, especially in the WNBA and NBA. But I think within a professional setting, I didn't really have someone to look up to. I didn't grow up with, the parents that went to college or anything like that. So I was a first-year generation graduate, along with my other siblings. So I think just being able to set that standard for my younger brother and, just being a role model for him and just seeing and showing the cousins that I have, because there's so many of them, and I do have a nephew. I think just being able to kind of show them the way of what, what I'm doing and just seeing how I can make something happen of what I come from.
What are the ways you became that role model, though? So you wanted to be a role model for your family, because I assume you're the oldest sibling then?
I'm actually the middle,
Or you're the middle, okay.
but I think just being the middle child and having so many goals for myself and just wanting to go to college and really pushing myself to get a scholarship, because I knew my family and I wouldn't be able to, pay for college tuition, especially out of state. So I think playing basketball is something that I really had an escape for and really thrived to do, and had a goal of getting a scholarship because I knew like they would pay my whole way. So just being able to do that and just holding myself to that standard and achieving those goals, that made my sister want to go back to school. So now all my three siblings have a college degree. And I think now, me going back to get my master's degree, it kind of becomes a competition. But I think just setting that standard for my family of getting the highest education as we can as possible and just making a life for yourself. And you don't have to settle for what you've grown up in. You kind of create the life that you want.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
So how did basketball play a role in that? Was it your escape from school, or did it help you focus on school and let you, I don't know, just be your true authentic self? Because obviously when you're playing basketball, you're having fun, but other people think of it as an escape from whatever's distracting them, and they're able to zone in on that thing.
Yeah, I think it kind of is both. So, I mean, I think I was pretty always good at school, but of course, everyone has like family problems and stuff like that. So my parents got divorced at an early age for me, so I think that was really hard for me. But just being able to have basketball as an escape to go to definitely helped me. Didn't help all the way, but I think just being able to kind of get on the court and not have any worries of those types of things, what's going on at home or what's happening within myself. Because, of course, like confidence is something that everyone lacks, and I think that's something that I've always lacked and still lack. But I think just being on the basketball court has really built up my confidence to where I'm confident in what I do now. And now just holding that confidence in what I'm doing within college athletics, and just being able to share my experience, I think, is the main thing, especially with females that I know that struggle with the same thing, especially at the collegiate level. Like, you don't really know what you're doing, and you're kind of just thrown in there and not fully prepared for it, because no one can prepare you for what life is like, especially as a female, especially in athletics. It's hard, a lot of mental that goes into it, and I think just being able to stay confident and have that escape of basketball and have that literally get me throughout my whole life is kind of crazy. Like, just being able to have my school paid for, have great jobs because of it, because I've got a free degree, and now I'm back at Gonzaga here getting a free degree again. So
That's awesome.
I'm super grateful for it. A lot of work has been put into it, but I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. So
Yeah.
I really thank basketball for everything.
Yeah, your experiences make you who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like, especially now in our generation, especially mental health is such a big topic that everyone talks about. Even
Yeah.
athletes came out. There's Kevin Love, there's DeMar DeRozan, all these athletes are talking about their mental health and how you really should cultivate who you surround yourself with and make sure that they're that support system for you. Do you feel like you're able to do that within your basketball community, and how were you able to find that throughout your childhood when you were dealing with stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I think even though my parents did like get divorced at an early age, my parents were both very supportive. My siblings were very supportive. So I had a very supportive family that was supportive of me. But I think I'm openly and honest about it. I did go to therapy. I think that helped a lot, especially as a kid, because it's traumatic experiences, especially having parents that are going through divorce. But I think just kind of going into college, I definitely wasn't prepared for it. I think on the mental side, there's a lot that goes into, training at the highest level, and I think that was the hardest part for me, because, I mean, basketball came easy to me, but I think just mentally being away from my family, they were very far away. I didn't have anyone, just trying to be independent when literally a Filipino culture is literally everyone. Like, I didn't even know how to do my own laundry. I had to learn how to do my own laundry because my grandma did it all for me. So I think just kind of independently growing as a person in Utah has definitely changed me. So I think just having a supportive family, but also a supportive family in Utah helped a lot. So the coaches were supportive. The school was very supportive. They had a lot of resources that was definitely beneficial for me along with my teammates. And I think, again, like you said, mental health is a really big thing, and I think especially with sports and especially in collegiate athletics, that's something that they're really honing in on and having a lot of resources for their athletes, and I think that's something that's super important, and it goes beyond basketball. So I'm glad that mental health is something that is being put in the forefront.
Yep. So we talked about your childhood, we talked about your high school years, and you talked about how your circumstances don't define you. You're still writing your own story. You still got that pen in your hand. You define who you are, and you don't let your whatever's going on in life define you. So like now, social media, that's the big topic.
Yeah.
AI, everything like that. How do you think social media has really influenced sports in general, and how did it influence your job? Because obviously, your job wouldn't have been possible with the Warriors if there was no social media. So how has that changed for you, like growing up? Obviously we're not at the same generation as like having iPads, but now we see all these kids, like, they're on their iPads, they're on their phones, they're watching TikToks. We didn't have that as a child. We were in that like middle age where technology was coming, but like it wasn't fully there yet. How have you seen the growth of all the social media like come before your very eyes?
Yeah, definitely. I remember like vaguely when Instagram became like a thing, and just seeing now like how all my cousins, like my nephew, like they're iPad babies, like they all have iPads. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Watching YouTube.
I literally all the YouTube kids things. So that's like super cute, and like it keeps them entertained. But I think especially like with social media, especially with our generation and the other generations, I think it's definitely something that can be used to an advantage, but something that is also used too much to where things are portrayed negatively. So I think just me personally, like working within social and then just having my own social media, I think just having that boundary of like what I want to share and things that I want to see. So I think just being able to use that and trick my mind to seeing stuff that positively influence things rather than negative. And I think that's what may be something that's difficult for a lot of people to do, especially like just seeing how so many people are on social media. What are they doing? Trying to keep up with everything. So there is pros and cons, I think, to it. But I think if you use it positively, it'll definitely influence your life. But I think just overall, just how it's helped my job. I don't even know. Like it's just something that I was just always good at, I think. And I think just having that, making it a job is something that I'm super grateful for. But I think it's so up and coming. There's so many things changing. So it's a lot to keep up with. And I think just as a normal human being now and trying to stay away from social, just keeping up with all those trends, it's tough. So a lot of time and effort goes into social media efforts, and especially within sports. So it's long hours and long days. So everything you see on social from those sports, like there's a lot of time that goes into it. So I definitely commend all those people that are in social and that are still continuing to do it, because a lot of time goes into it. But I think just being able to keep up with things and having social media now, we can be using it positively. But I think like the Warriors, for example, I love following them. And just if I'm not watching the game, I'm always knowing and staying up to date, because that's something that I can keep up with through social. So I think just being able to use social media to a positive is something that everyone can do. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
I mean, you see like the game highlights on YouTube of a game if you miss a game. But I feel like scrolling through Instagram, if you follow like the Warriors or the Lakers or any of these NBA teams, you basically watch the entire game on all these clips.
Yeah, because you never miss a highlight.
You never miss a highlight, and then they say final score 112 to 110.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a tough loss. It was a good win, and it feels like, why do I have to watch the game anymore? Because social media has been so entwined with sports that it feels like it's just instantaneous updates.
Yeah.
When I'm on my phone, there's ESPN, ding, ding,
Yep.
da-na-na, da-na-na. And I'm getting force-fed all this content without really looking for it because I have alerts on. I feel like social media is kind of just like thrown at your face, and it's just everywhere. Even billboards, it's social media. Whenever you're watching a YouTube video, there's commercials. You're watching regular TV, there's commercials. Like, it's just everywhere. There's so many things going on, especially with our generation, Gen Z. I feel like we have such short attention spans because of it now. That like I need to be like occupied with something, or else I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Like, the silence is just too
loud.
Too loud, which is ironic. But like, how are you able to find peace at like when everything's going around, like when you're at the NFL Network, when you're working for the Warriors, because obviously there's so many things moving around you. Like, how do you find time for yourself and focus on your peace?
Yeah, so I think like kind of like I mentioned earlier, like just having boundaries, and I think being in social and seeing how much time and effort goes into it, it's hard to turn it off, because it's like it's a constant job. Like you're never really done with social, so it's a continuous thing. So I think me really having to take a step back and putting my mental first is something that, I mean, it's clear. Like, I don't work in social media anymore. Basketball is something that I really have a passion for, but I think just being able to have that kind of boundary to where I'm still able to have a work-life balance is something that's super important to me with every job that I had. So I think just seeing how I'm able to do that now. Like, basketball is something that's still kind of in the same realm, but I think just still being able to have downtime, whether it's to do my homework, to work out and stuff like that, I'm able to do that. Whereas with social media, it's like a constant thing. Like, people can still be texting you for content that needs to be done, for responding to DMs, stuff like that. So you're never really able to turn off with social media, and I think that's the hard thing. But whether you're working within social or just have your own social medias, I think just still being able to have that kind of balance to where, okay, it's time to turn it off, or it's time to delete the app. Like, there's things that can help you kind of stay off of it and, have time for other things. So I think if you're able to turn it off and see how much time you actually really have, not on social media scrolling and like being like stooped into whatever TikTok videos that you're watching. Like, I'm guilty of it, but like just being able to turn it off and just seeing like, oh, I have time to read. Oh, I have time to hang out with my friends. Like, it's definitely like a work-life balancing and just a balanced life. Yeah.
And then you get that like alert, oh, your usage is up 30% this week. It's like,
I don't think I've ever gotten to that point.
they just like, it's like under a magnifying glass. They're really keeping you in check.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, social media has no off days. I mean, I remember recently, so that James Harden trade, that happened in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
And I was shocked when I read it, and it made me think, wow, they're just really working 24/7. They're facilitating trades in the middle of the night. Woj and Shams, they have to tweet in the middle of the night. They have to make sure that they're awake. And it's just crazy to see how, like, some typical jobs there's that 9 to 5, but jobs like social media and sports, it's really evolved to be a 24/7 job, even on weekends, because obviously football's on Sunday.
Yeah.
The biggest times for people to watch sports are on weekends because obviously they're off.
Yeah.
And it's just been a crazy evolution to see, like, where sports was when I was a little kid to even now, or not even when I was a little kid, from like 2 years ago to now. It's been a crazy evolution to watch. And what would you say is your best memory working in social media, like with the NFL Network or the Warriors?
Yeah, so I think just first, the main thing was just like being able to get a Warriors championship ring. But I think just being able to work with the Warriors, especially the Warriors Basketball Academy, summer camps are a really big thing. So basically, the Warriors Basketball Academy is at the old practice facility. So it's in Oakland. Of course,
okay.
now the Warriors are at Chase. So we definitely had used that to our advantage to where we were able to give back to the community and the younger generation to where they still had a place to go to. So there's a bunch of shooting machines, a bunch of skill cages. I'll have to send you the link because it's something that is worth trying out when you go back home because you get a free workout. But I think just being able to have those summer camps and seeing how much fun the kids are having, especially when there's a guest appearance, like whether it's Clay or stuff, like they go crazy.
Yeah.
They go crazy. It's like they just can't believe like they're actually real. And I think just being able to capture those moments for those their parents that that aren't able to see it, but also share with other people on social media, like just on the Instagram, you can see like the people that follow you and where they're from. Like there's so many people from out the country that love the Warriors.
And
just
like
seeing, literally, and just seeing how much love they give to the Warriors, especially the Warriors Basketball Academy. That isn't like the Warriors, but it's the affiliation. But just seeing how much love that they have for the younger generation, and just being able to follow us and just see how much fun they're having during the summer. So I think that's the main thing that I loved capturing, like seeing Gary Payton like at the camps. It's so much fun, like because he's so much fun and loves being around kids. It's not really ever a job. So I think, especially working in sports, if I can give you one piece of advice, like it's something that you really have to be passionate about, because like you said, it's 24/7 job. But I mean, if you're super passionate about it and really love it, then it's not really a job.
Yeah, I feel like that speaks to the branding, like the name recognition. That's what people really fall in love with. That's why people love those big market teams, because there's a story behind them and they have such a rich history. And I feel like the Warriors, just in this past decade, have really become a big market team. Because before, like the We Believe Warriors, they were like the little brothers to like all these big market teams. But then that transition to like the Steph Curry era, how he's changed the game of basketball, how he's inspired little kids, and to this dynasty that they are now. I feel like that's really elevated their branding and name recognition, and I feel like that's great for the city of San Francisco, because even not even San Francisco, just the Bay Area in general, because now there's people coming across the Golden Gate Bridge to watch the game, the Bay Bridge, people from the peninsula coming down, and it's just bringing all these people together that you wouldn't expect to be under the same arena, and they're just rooting for the same team, which
and
I
just
think
watching a game of basketball.
Just watching a game of basketball,
crazy?
simple, a man dribbling a ball and shooting it in a net.
Yeah. So I think just being able to be at the games and just seeing like different types of people that are coming to the games. Like people like have signs like, oh, I traveled 15,000 miles to come here and watch stuff. Like that's crazy. And then just also like just going back to women's side, because I'm super passionate about women's basketball. Like my best friend's Sabrina Ionescu, and just seeing how much lives she's touched, just her playing basketball and just her making a difference within college athletics and now in the WNBA. It's crazy. Like people really look up to her, and I think that's something that's super admirable, because like literally we grew up together playing basketball, and just seeing how much she's really changed the game and how much she's really being a role model for those kids, that didn't have, or we didn't have role models looking up to. So I think just seeing how much time and effort that they put into the game, and then just people really loving them and just showing them the love back, I think that just makes everything worth it for them.
Now she has her own signature shoe.
Yep. Yeah, if you haven't tried out the Sabrina ones, like literally life-changing. I wear them, so.
You wear them?
I do.
The ball?
I do.
Yeah, so in NBA 2K, the basketball video game,
Yeah.
I just bought some Sabrina ones. I'm repping them on the court.
Did you customize them, or it's just like a normal one?
It's just like a normal one.
Okay.
It's just like a pink one, and I know I got a little puffer jacket too, so I'm looking pretty swaggy on the court.
Yeah, shout out Sabrina.
So obviously she's the first women's athlete to actually have her own shoe. Can you talk about
Co-ed
that process?
actually at that too.
Yeah.
Men's and women's.
Yeah. Were you like, did you ever talk to her about that process, or did you keep up with her? In that?
So we actually are still pretty close now. But I think I literally vividly remember it was during COVID. And that's when like we were all still doing like our little picnics, socially distanced apart.
yeah.
And that's when we had all just graduated.
Yeah.
So like friends that also went to Miramani, we all like gathered together and socially distanced, but like we're all pretty close still and keep in touch. But just being able to hear her say like, oh guys, I'm finally working on something, like that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And like it literally just came out this year, just seeing how much time and effort she's put into it. Like there's so many, drafts going through
Yeah.
that, and just seeing how the process was super delicate and she took so much time and effort. Like she didn't rush it at all, and I think she really wanted to perfect what she put out. And I think that just goes to show like who she is. Like she really takes time what she's putting, like she takes time putting into the game, and also like what she is with her brand. Like her brand is very authentic and she's super passionate about her culture. But yeah, just being able to see her, literally my best friend, and just seeing how she is a pro and has her own college shoe, and just seeing how a lot of people in the NBA and WNBA are wearing her shoes, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And just seeing people in the rec, literally they have Sabrina ones, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, nice shoes. And they don't even know like, oh yeah, that's Sabrina's friend. So every time I see someone, I snap a picture, and I'm like, oh, there's a Sabrina one appearance. Literally.
Yeah, those shoes look pretty cool. They're nice low tops, and they obviously she got an influence from Kobe's, and that's been really cool to see other people get influence from Kobe shoes, because they were discontinued for a while. Now they're coming back.
Yeah, now they're coming back, so it's crazy.
We'll see how Nike manages to keep the scalpers away.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So we're done talking about the past. Let's talk about where you are right now. So you're a grad student at Gonzaga. You work for the women's basketball team. Take me through your day-to-day.
Guys, it's a long day for me every single day. Like today, again, the girls have an off day, but never an off day for us coaches. But for me personally, I'm the only grad assistant with the women's team right now. So let's just go to show, like, I love this job and I'm super grateful. But again, I'm a grad student. I'm a student, so I do have another job. I work at the rec.
Okay.
I teach in the mornings, so if you need a fitness class, you can join my fitness class. So I teach 3 classes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's in the morning. I end at 10. From 10 to 3, I'm with the women's basketball team. So that's prepping for practice, doing scout, practicing for 2 hours.
So you practice with them?
I also practice, yes. So a little rusty, but I do practice with them. So
like in scrimmages or?
So like we have scout teams. So like the team we're playing, I'm usually the other team.
Okay.
So I'm not playing myself. I'm playing the other team. So if they're, so I just play them. But yeah, that's basically like half of my day. And then the rest of the day, like I have to go to class like a normal student. So that's 3 hours. By the time I get home, it's 9:30. I eat dinner.
Repeat.
Do the same thing every single day. So, but don't forget your time for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So guess what time I wake up in the mornings?
7.
I wake up at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
to go to the gym,
Wow.
put time into myself, 4 to 6 o'clock, have class at 7.
Wow. There's some nights I'm up till like 2 a.m. doing homework or playing video games, and you're just up at 4 a.m. What time do you go to sleep?
Last night I went to bed probably at 9:30.
Okay.
So my sleep probably isn't great, but I mean, I want to put time into myself, but also know there's other things that need to get done. So I think if I get the workout out the way, then I'm good to go.
Self-care.
And I feel a little bit more productive with my day. So like today was a little bit of a restful day for me. I got my film done, I got to work out, and now I'm here talking to you. So I think today was a good day. I got some rest.
That's good. So what are some of the classes you're taking?
Yeah, so this is my first semester here at Gonzaga. So I'm taking a legal and ethics class, and then I'm taking a Ooh, Turcout's gonna kill me for this. I think it's sports law.
Sports law.
Is that one of the classes are his? Because he's my teacher for one of the classes. But I think that's maybe legal. I don't know what class he teaches, but I have him on Wednesdays and
Okay.
I have Professor Arroyo on Tuesdays.
So just 2 classes.
2 classes, and then I think it's another 2 next semester.
Okay.
So.
Do you know what the names of those classes are?
I
Not
think
sure.
it's something communications, and then research something.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm still a student. I don't know what classes I'm taking. I'm just in them.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice just having that schedule where you just show up, and it's just like a cycle. You just know what to
Yep.
do. You know what you're doing.
Yep.
I think that's the one scary thing. So I'm a senior. I'm obviously gonna be done.
Yeah.
I'm scared that I'm not gonna have that schedule to rely on, because I'm gonna be like in this world. Oh, I could just wake up at any time. I could be missing work if I really didn't wake up in time. I guess I could be doing that with school too, but I feel like I'm just out in the real world. I'm not like surrounded with roommates. I guess maybe I would have roommates, but like I feel like it's more that independence, cuz like this summer I had an internship. I was interning in Marin County with Nike US Sports Camp. So we were running all those camps that's like all over the world. So like at St. Ignatius, we have camps in other places like Sierra Canyon.
Yeah.
Like, just a bunch of these Nike camps, like for basketball, for water polo, for all these different sports. And I'm just driving to work, and I'm like, wow, I have 1 year left before this is the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I think, like, that's something that no one, again, prepares you for.
Yeah.
Like, you're such on a routine, especially being, like, a student. Like, you have this, and this to get done, and you have to go to work if, like, that's something that you do. But I think also just kind of transitioning into the world, no one really prepares for it. You're kind of just, like, thrown into it. Like, people can tell you, like, oh, how it's going to go, but, like, it's kind of you and your life, and just, like, oh, you really want to take pride in your life, then you're going to kind of get things done. But I think that's something that I think is hard for a lot of people. It was hard for me, especially during COVID. So I think just give yourself grace, I think, is for one, if I can give you a recommendation. And then two, and just everything will be okay. But
Yeah.
I think definitely give yourself grace. Like it's going to be a transitioning time, but you'll get through it and just power through.
Yeah. And obviously I'm pursuing hopefully a career in sports. You're pursuing a career in sports. I feel like the old Asian parents, they would always be like, You're following sports? Isn't that a
like,
hobby?
what job is that?
What job is that? How are you going to support yourself? Like, how did you break that news to your parents, and were they supportive of you, and how have you leaned on to them?
Yeah, I think like just having a little bit younger parents, like they were super supportive. Like my dad loves basketball. He's like, oh, you want to be a coach like me? Then yes. But definitely like my grandparents are from the Philippines and they're just like, what? You want to be Steph Curry? Like, no, I don't want to be Steph Curry. I want to help Steph Curry and their team.
Yeah.
Just being able to kind of break it down like that and just kind of telling them now like what it's like being in this generation. It's like not how it was when they're in the Philippines or how their life is going now. But just being able to kind of slowly inch and give them more information of what I do. But I think they're really proud of me, like going back to school. But then they're like, so what do you do every day when you're not in school? Like, I help the basketball team, Mama, remember? But I think just her being able to keep up with me, like, on social media, I think that's something that my grandparents do now. Like, they try and find social media and just keeping up with my siblings and I, my nephew. So it's just, like, weird seeing my grandparents on Instagram on their little iPhone with their glasses. I'm like, yep.
It's always funny seeing, like, my grandparents, like, texting. Like, they have the large text bubbles, and they still wear their glasses, and they're, like, holding it like this, and they're, like, doing it with the one finger, like they're a robot.
Yeah. So they're just, like, really just trying to keep up, which is super funny, but it's, like, you don't need the AirPods. Like, you can barely hear already. But I think just having them super supportive, too, and just still having them around is something that I'm super grateful for. So it's tough being away from my family, but I think just still having a phone and social media to keep up with, like they can keep up with me, I can keep up with them, but also like just having a phone and just having FaceTime, just still being able to talk to them and see how much they support me even if they're miles away.
Yeah, FaceTime is such a game changer because you could be across the world and you could be kind of in the same room as them almost without like that physical like obviously connection, but you're able to see them, you're able to talk to them and hear their voice, and I feel like that's been crazy because obviously 20 years ago that wasn't possible because people had other forms of communication, like through the call phone, like
Writing letters. I still
writing
write letters.
letters.
Do you write letters?
No, I do not.
Do you know how to address a letter?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I remember from kindergarten, first grade, we would write letters to our pen pals.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But I have not written a letter recently.
Yeah, I love writing letters. But yeah, just seeing how much technology has really taken over the world and how people are really using it, for good. So I think just being able to have that and just tying it back into connections, it's super helpful. And like I wasn't with my family this past Thanksgiving, but FaceTime really helped. Just being able to be with them, see what they're doing, and just still playing basketball games on Thanksgiving.
Yep. So let's look towards the future.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What are your big plans? How do you hope to inspire others, especially little Asian Americans? Because you said you had no role model really that you looked up to, and you probably want to be that potential role model for other little young girls and young boys as well.
Yeah.
Like, how do you see yourself playing that role, and what do you hope to share to the next generation?
Yeah. So I think for me personally, like I don't really know. Like you can see, like within my career, it's been kind of all over the place. But I think just being able to have the opportunity and kind of freedom to kind of try different things to see what I liked is something that I'm super grateful for. But I really think like these next 2 years is really crucial for me, especially like going back to school and learning more things that I've already did within my undergrad and just having, like, for example, like Turcotte as kind of someone that I can reference and kind of see where I can go professionally within sports is something that I'm looking forward to. So I personally don't know what's going to happen next, like what job I may have next. But I think like basketball is something that I want to stay around, and just being able to give back to the community is something I take pride in. And again, like being able to serve others, I think that's something that is my love language, whether that's in basketball or in life. So I think if I'm able to serve and just be a leader in some type of way, and that's something that I kind of will enjoy doing for the rest of my life, I think that's something I can see. But for right now, I really don't know. But I just hope to kind of be a role model and just give back to my community wherever I can.
Yeah. Love language is really important. And, yeah, like, looking to serve, that's amazing. Like, how have you done that throughout your life?
Yeah, so I think at least within professionally, we can touch on that for right now. So like director of operations, I don't know if you know what kind of goes into it, but it's basically, I'd say, or how I explain it is like being a mom of the team. So basically at St. Mary's, like I was the mom of the team. I set up travel, I set up hotels, I set up food, like literally sandwich platters every single Tuesday because they love sandwiches. So like those are like stuff that I see as like serving others. Like I don't need a thank you because it's something that I want to do and it's my job, but I don't mind doing it at all. So that's something that I like doing, like a director of operations. I love doing that. And I think just being able to serve others, like with my family, like I like doing the little things. I remember, oh, you wanted coffee? I'll get you coffee. Just like doing those little things can definitely make someone's day. And I think that's something that I kind of take pride in, like every day too. Like a compliment goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what people are going through. So I think just finding ways to kind of make people's day is something that I love doing. So I'll find anything to do to make someone's day.
That's awesome.
Lots of talking.
That's a lot of talking. Do you feel like something I've always wondered, just like watching sports, is travel.
Yeah.
And like how does that play a role in everything? Like obviously you're traveling with the team, like, and then you stay at the hotel. Like, can you explain that? Like, do you go like 2 days in advance, like a day in advance, and what's practicing like at someone else's arena?
Yeah.
Like, can you explain like more of the travel aspect of sports?
Yeah, so I can definitely touch on like college athletics. For one, I done it as an athlete. I'll tell you, it's a lot. Like the word travel, like you're not really traveling. It's a business trip. So there's no luxury of kind of like sightseeing or anything. You're there strictly for business. You play basketball, you do your homework, you go to sleep, and then you either play another game or you come back home. So I can touch on Gonzaga specifically, just right now because I'm in it. So for example, we had Thanksgiving, a tournament. So Thanksgiving was on Thursday. We practiced Tuesday morning. Wait. No, we practiced Wednesday morning. Okay. Gonzaga has a luxury.
In Spokane.
Yes, in Spokane, here at home. And Gonzaga has the luxury of chartering everywhere, so we had a charter.
Okay.
So we flew right on the little tarmac thing, I think it's called. Our plane was right there. Everyone hops on the plane. I don't know, 6-7 hours later because the time difference. We land in Houston. We have dinner. We go to sleep. Wake up. It's Thanksgiving Day, so it's kind of different because it's a holiday, but we still practice. So we didn't have like a specific home gym that we're like the team that we're playing it. It was a tournament, so it was at like a local college. So we still went to practice. We practiced there for like 2 hours. Leave. Like meals are kind of set in place, so you have lunch after that, go to the hotel, have some downtime, but usually downtime is recovery or homework. For me, it was working out, but like for that girls, it's either recovery, sleep, or homework. So that's what they're doing probably within 2 hours. We had Thanksgiving dinner as a team, so that was super nice, being able to see everyone's families. And then you have dinner, go to sleep, you wake up, it's game day. So game day, that's what everyone looks forward to. So typically you would have a shoot around 4 hours before your game. But I think since it was a tournament, there's teams playing before you, so you don't really get to have that shoot around time. So we kind of arrive about 2 hours before the game. You warm up, and then the game starts. Game's about 2 hours. After the game, you have your post-game dinner. For example, yesterday we had a sandwich. And then again, like if you have another game, then you do the same thing. You wake up, have pre-game meal, you have your shoot around, game, and then like typically when it's time to go home, right after the game, you go home.
Flight.
Yep, especially with a charter, like it's better to have a charter because you just go straight home. But if you're on a commercial flight, like you don't even know, like you could have had a layover. Just lots of travel, I think, puts time on your bodies, and I think, I mean, this is going to be a whole nother conversation for us, but just seeing how the Pac-12 and how they're going to different conferences and just seeing the travel time there, like, guys, that's a lot of time for athletes to be traveling, and just how much swelling can happen and how much, like, too much traveling can really hurt our bodies. So that's just another thing that is a conversation.
It's going to be really tough for USC, UCLA, Oregon, and UW to transition. Even for the Big 12 and Colorado, Arizona, and all those guys. Or like the ACC for Stanford and Cal, it's going to be crazy for them to just adjust to that travel because they're primarily on the East Coast and over there, and that's going to be back, forth. That's just crazy.
And it's just like a lot of, again, traveling and then the time difference that you're going into. And then just like little things like girls have homework to do, and like it's due at that time at Easter time because like that's the time. So I think it's tough, but that's just something that we're just gonna have to trial and error with.
And like, what are the vibes on the plane after a win, and what are the vibes after a loss? Like, how does that play an effect in just travel? Because obviously it's different when you come off a big win versus when you come off a devastating loss.
So I mean, I have 3 teams to compare it to. I had my team at Utah Valley, I had St. Mary's, and now I have Gonzaga. So I think Gonzaga, like the girls are really, they're really good about like wins and losses, so they're pretty neutral. Like they won't shut you out even if it's a loss. So they're pretty good. I commend them for that. But like for me personally, like our team at Utah Valley, this was 4 years ago. After a loss, dead silent. Like no one's talking to anyone. The coaches aren't talking, they're quiet. Coaches are watching film already. And then St. Mary's was kind of similar too, but like when you win, and you're super happy about it. It's like you never won a game before because you're so happy. So I think it definitely varies with every team, but I think just seeing how neutral the girls are here at Gonzaga, like they hold themselves to a really high standard. Like they're used to winning, so it's no big deal. But also like they take the loss with a grain of salt, and they know like they got to come back and do better next time. So I commend those girls, and I honestly love them. So it's cool being able to work for this championship team and just seeing how far they've gone the last couple of years and just being able to be part of that. That's something that I'm super grateful for.
So what are the plans for the team over winter break? How does that usually work when primarily all students are just gone, not on campus? You guys probably stay on campus and still work. How does that work for breaks?
So basically we're in the midst of preseason, so games vary different days, but I think we have 2 weeks probably left in school. So after that 2 weeks, we have a couple games. But I know our last game, for a break for us, is basically on December 22nd. So that's a couple weeks after school's done. So we're here in Spokane till then. And then we have, I think, 5 days. 5 days is the most days I've ever gotten. Like working in basketball, college athletics, and like playing in it, that's a long time in basketball time to have days off. So basically we have 5 days to go home, wherever your home is. I'm going back home to the Bay. Come back on the 28th. Then we practice. The girls' first game is until like January 4th. So we still coming back still early.
Yeah.
But we still have time. We need to practice and stuff like that. So that's basically our break. And then school doesn't start till January 16th, but we're still here in Spokane playing basketball games, representing our school. So I think that's something I wouldn't trade for the world, but that's something that you definitely have to consider. I think working in sports, a lot of time and effort goes into it. You miss a lot of stuff. You work on your birthday. I work on my birthday every single year. So I think it's just something that is kind of like a livelihood, and if you love it, you love it, and there's no complaints.
And then March comes around.
Favorite time.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about March Madness and all the craziness that comes with it during that month?
It is actually like March Madness. Like, you never know what's going to happen. I think definitely seeing how like teams are upsetting now, like there's going to be so many upsets in March. And I think just being able to kind of see different types of teams like step up and win games is something that's super cool to watch. And I mean, I love watching basketball. It's literally the only thing I watch on TV. So it's definitely crazy. Last year I was at the WCC, so we're in Vegas for like our tournament during March. So that's kind of cool, just seeing and playing against other teams that we've been playing, but competing for actually something bigger. And then I think last year, since I was on staff, I was able to go to the actual Final Four.
Okay.
In Dallas, just being able to see LSU, I think in Iowa it was, and just seeing that game, like that game was crazy.
That game was crazy.
And just seeing like how many fans are coming to watch women's basketball, I think is something that has come up in the rankings, I think, because like it was something that was definitely overlooked. And I think just seeing how people are having their heads turned now, like, oh, women's basketball, look what they're doing. So I think March Madness is something that is really something that we can look back on and say, oh, thank you, because that's where women's basketball is kind of up and coming, and people are really looking, like, people are all looking at LSU now, and it's not even March. So I think just having more viewers watching women's basketball sports is something that's super important, and I'm always going to root for them.
Yeah, it's become really popular, even on ESPN.
Yeah.
People talking about Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese,
Yeah.
LSU forming this like super team, but now, oh no, LSU lost their first game now.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Are they really a super team now? It's like, I feel like it's become such an important thing to talk about women's sports. There's especially women's soccer. I feel like that's when it really started, like them wanting to get equal pay and starting that whole movement to the World Cup and just seeing our women win World Cups, win Olympic gold medals, and them succeeding at a level that's better than the men, and just appreciating that and giving them their flowers for all that they've done, because it's not easy being an athlete, even if you're a woman or if you're a man. It doesn't matter. You're both athletes, and you put so much time in your craft, and you dedicate your life to it, and that's all you really know. Like, how would you say that, like, what level of dedication, like, what does it take to put that type of dedication forward into something you love?
I think a lot of time. Like for me, I only can speak for myself because I think I've really been in it, and I can't speak for anyone else and how they kind of became like the pro that they're like. I'm nowhere near a pro, but I think just being able to play at a high level, like for me, I didn't really have a childhood. Like me comparing my childhood to my other friends that didn't play basketball, like I don't think I had my first sleepover till like college, which is like crazy. I didn't have any traveling during the summer. If it was, I mean, other than like basketball, like I didn't get to go on like family trips. Like, oh, I get to go to Hawaii or something for fun. Like it was never for fun. It was always for basketball. But like I'm not complaining. And just having a support system. Like my family always traveled to my basketball games. But I think just not having a real childhood and just putting time into my craft, time into basketball. Like I was training outside of practice. I always had a trainer. I was lifting with the outside trainer. So just putting all that time and effort and energy into basketball, and just having supportive parents that, you know, was able to drive me to those things and kind of provide for me financially. I think that's something that I'm super grateful for. And now I think just striving to get like scholarships, I think just is paying them in return. Like they don't have to pay a dime anymore for my school. Like I've taken care of it by putting in the time, effort, dedication into my craft, to where people are taking a chance on me and believe in me and my skills, to where they're willing to pay for my school to have me work for them.
A lot of sacrifices have been made.
Lots of sacrifices, but I mean, I wouldn't trade anything for
Grateful
the world.
for it, though.
Super grateful.
And I just wanted to give you your platform now.
Yeah.
Like, did you want to speak on anything, like anything that you've done in your from when you were little to now? Like, I'm give you your floor. Something you want to talk about.
I think me, just like we've touched on, like women's sports and like the younger generation, like that's something that I really, really take pride in because, again, I didn't have anyone to look up to. And I think just being able to be a female in sports and like an Asian like me, like a lot of people in the Bay Area, like they play basketball. So that's something I always take pride in. And I think just having my platform and just using it to my advantage and sharing the wealth, sharing the knowledge, I think with other people, especially like the young generation, is something that I really want to do. So I think just who I am and just the realm that I'm working in now, like I'm able to do that. Like, of course, they're like literally adults, but I think just being able to be who I am and the experience that I've lived, I'm able to share that knowledge and experience to where they are able to trust me and kind of see like, oh yeah, Keana's been through this. So I think overall, just being able to really empower and uplift younger athletes, especially females, and just continue to support women's basketball is something that I really take pride in, and I hope everyone else does too.
Yeah, I feel like for a long time, for me personally, it was hard being Asian American and wanting to be in sports because there aren't a lot of people that look like us. They're not until like Jeremy Lin or Lynn Sanity or like, I mean, there's people now, but like there was not really anyone playing the game that really we could relate to on a level. And what I've learned is there shouldn't have to be that someone to relate to. You gotta find it within yourself and hopefully be that person for others.
Yeah, because I mean,
And,
you're
yeah.
capable of it. And I think anyone that is wanting to be kind of someone within that career that they want, like you can be that, but it does take a lot of time and effort, and you might have to do it alone sometimes, but I mean, I think in the end it's going to be worth it, and if you have a great support system that supports you, like you'll get through it and create the life that you want.
I just want to thank Keana for coming on this podcast. I feel like what you shared was really inspiring and enlightening and really empowers the Asian American voices that need to be heard. And I feel like your stories definitely will inspire other people that hopefully potentially choose to listen to this podcast. And
Thank you.
so thank you for coming on this podcast, and we out. Peace.